Good day everyone. Welcome to the lecture series on power electronics. In this session we shall discuss buck converter power circuit. So consider a circuit in which input side we have a battery, output side resistive load, voltage across load is same as V0 with given polarity as mentioned in the circuit diagram, and current through load is I0 in this direction, that is right to left to right. Okay. In between source and load a switch is incorporated, that is a single pole single throw switch. As long as switch is closed, voltage across load is same as the source voltage, and current through load is same as source voltage by resistance value, right? And whenever switch is open, load voltage would be 0, that is same as 0, and load current also going to be 0. Okay, so let us try to indicate that. That graphically. Now on period, off period together is known as switching period. Usually, so this kind of switch, it is usually in power electronics. The switches that we are going to use are power semiconductor switches, which can be operated at very high frequency. They are not manual switches. Okay, they can be operated very high frequency in kilohertz or in megahertz also. Okay, based on the type of switch that we are using. So switching period is the time taken to complete one switching operation, that is on to off and off to on, right? Okay, off to on and on to off. So that the complete period is known as switching period. Switching period includes on period of the switch along with the off period, both together. Okay, and you can find out switching frequency and switching period relation, that is Fs is equal to 1 by Ts. So duty ratio is the fraction of the switching period during which switch is closed. So that is T on by Ts. Similarly, 1 minus D is equal to, that is fraction T off by Ts. Right. So this if you know duty ratio and if you know switching frequency, you can find out Ts and T on and T off respectively. So anyway, let us see what is the voltage wave shape. So we know so during the on period of the switch, load voltage is V in, and during off period it is equal to 0. Similarly, again, so during on period again it is going to be V in, and of course if you consider one more off period, again it is going to be 0. Okay, so for simplicity, let me consider only one cycle. This is one cycle, on period along with off period together. So this is a one cycle. During one cycle, so during on period it is V in and off period it is equal to 0. Coming to the current waveform. So current is equal to Vn by R during the on period, and that is equal to 0 during the off period. So this is the waveform for one cycle, and of course the same waveform will repeat for remaining cycles also. Now coming to average value. If you find out average value, of course we know the formula to find out average value, calculate average value. So that is area under the curve divided by time period to complete one cycle. So area over one cycle divided by time period to complete one cycle is known as the average value. If you find out that turns out to be a positive value, and if you see this average value, that is less than the input voltage. So you can see, okay, from the graph you can see that input output voltage is less than the input voltage. So this is known as step down converter. Okay, so this is known as step down converter or voltage buck converter or simply buck converter. So current also, so that is going to be again average value of current also going to be positive, and that value is equal to this V0, so capital V0 by R. Okay, so please do remember this. So always I use capital letters to indicate the, either RMS values or average values, and small letters to indicate the instantaneous values. Now you can see here small V0 is corresponding to instantaneous voltage, small I0 is corresponding to instantaneous current flowing through the resistor, where capital I0 and capital V0 are corresponding to average value of output current and output voltage respectively. Okay, so anyway, so now this is the operation of simple operation of a simple buck converter. This is a buck converter, voltage buck converter. Now if you observe carefully, so the output voltage average value, even though it is average value is positive, you can see that there is a ripple in the voltage. Now you can see the voltage, the output instantaneous voltage would oscillate around the average value. So we have a ripple, peak to peak ripple, that is equal to V in, that is same as input voltage. Okay, if input voltage is more, then ripple would be more. Okay, and similarly coming to the of course if you calculate the ripple value, percentage of ripple factor would be 100% for this case. Now similarly I naught, find out I naught ripple value, that also going to be 100%, and ripple value if you find out absolute value, that is equal to Vn by R. So this is a problem with the simple boost converter. Even though it is able to an average sense, it is stepping down the voltage and voltage, but this is not a good converter because ripple factor is 100%. Okay, we have peak to peak ripple is Vn with respect to voltage and Vn by R with respect to the current. So in order to improve this voltage and current profiles, voltage and current waveforms, in order to reduce the ripple in the output voltage, so what can we do? So we know the current through inductor cannot change suddenly. Okay, so maybe using inductor in series with the resistor, maybe you can improve the current profile, right? So current through that would change slowly, gradually, and then fall slowly. So that way the peak to peak ripple in the current can be reduced by connecting a series inductance. Similarly, voltage across resistor, so that also can be improved. Its profile can be improved, its ripple value can be reduced by using capacitor in parallel with the load. Okay, so that way, so now this is circuit, the modified circuit is this. So connect a series inductance and parallel capacitance this way. Okay, so now if you observe carefully, so what is the modification? So this is only modification. So inductor and capacitors are modified. So those are incorporated into the circuit. Inductor is connected in series and capacitor is connected in parallel. Now what is role of inductor? Inductor smoothens the output current, that is role number 1. And also we know output voltage would have ripple. It has got ripple in case there is no presence of the capacitor and inductor, right? So now, so this provides space for drop in the ripple voltage. Definitely as you are closing switch and opening switch, there must be ripple, right? So this provides a space for drop of the ripple voltage. So ripple voltage drop would take place across this inductor, so that this capacitor voltage or voltage across this load, of course both are equal, so they are going to be ripple free. Okay, so role of inductor is to smoothen the output current and also so provides the space for voltage ripple drop. Okay, drop in the voltage ripple would be appear as a drop across the inductor. That is its role. Similarly, the capacitor, so we know, as I mentioned, it smoothens the output voltage, that is number 1, and number 2, we know that even so while you are closing and opening the switch, definitely so inductor current would rise and fall. Okay, that kind of operation would take place. So the profile of inductor current usually without capacitor, so increasing and rising and falling, so it contains ripple. But with respect to output, there should not be any ripple in the current, right? So then what this capacitor do, apart from smoothing the voltage, it also provides the path for the voltage ripple current ripple in the inductor. Okay, the ripple current would takes this path so that the current through load is more or less constant. So this way inductor and capacitor improves the performance of the converter, this buck converter. Okay, but we have one more problem here with this circuit. So that is, so as long as you are closing switch, no problem. So current through inductor would rise slowly. As you are closing switch, current through inductor would rise slowly. Okay, but after some time, if you open the switch, okay, there is no path provided for the current through the inductor here. Okay, so because it is open, no, it is open, so this path cannot be taken. So in that case, what would happen? So inductor tries to maintain the current. Okay, it does not allow sudden change in the current, so it will induce high amount of the voltage across it, and that would appear as drop across the switch, which may lead to breakdown of the switch. Okay, that leads to damage of the switch. Okay, so one should be very careful. You should provide some path for the inductor current. So during this off period of the switch, how that can be done? So maybe incorporating one more switch or incorporating one more throw in such a way that during the off period, so this pole is connected to this particular throw, so that current through inductor is continuous, or current through inductor is provided a path and it cannot be, I mean, made 0 suddenly, right? So that can be done using this double pole double throw switch. Now see, so now single pole single throw switch is replaced by double pole single pole double throw switch. I'm sorry, it is single pole double throw switch. So pole, we have only one pole that is connected to inductor. So always pole has to be connected to a component through which current has to be maintained. Okay, current has to be maintained, because generally throws are going to be isolated, but pole is not going to be isolated. Pole has to be usually pole is going to be connected either throw 1 or throw 2 or so on. So pole generally has to be connected to a component through which current has to be maintained. In this case, inductor current, okay, has to be maintained. Okay, so here pole is connected here. So throw 1, whenever you connect this pole to throw 1, so inductor voltage across inductor is going to be positive. So current through inductor would rise. Okay, rise, and whenever this is open, so this pole has to be pole has to be connected to throw 2, so that current inductor current would flow through this throw 2 and P and then the inductor. Okay, so there is no discontinuity. In fact, current cannot be made 0 suddenly through inductor. So if you use this kind of switch, okay, and let us see how to realize that sometime later. So this is SPDT, single pole double throw switch. So role of this SPDT to provide a path for inductor current, okay, during the off period of the switch. So how do you realize this? So in order to know how to realize, you should know what should be the current, what kind of switches that you need to use between pole and throw 1 and pole and throw 2 respectively. Now for example, so pole is connected to throw 1. Then so inductor current should rise in this direction, so current would flow in this direction. So from between throw 1 and P, current would flow this way, right? And what about pole and T through? So between pole and T2 there is no current, but it should block the voltage. You can see applying KVL for this particular applying KVL, you would get that between pole and T2 there must be a voltage drop. It should support the voltage blocking, voltage drop, that is V in, same as V in with this polarity, that is this positive and this T2 negative. Okay, so this is for condition 1. So whenever pole is connected to throw 1. Now if at all pole is connected to throw 2, so that is this way. If pole is connected to throw 2, then what should be the current direction through inductor? That is same as this. So current through the inductor should be same as current through this pole and T2. So that is this way. So from T2 to P, you should have current which is same as inductor current. So current direction would be this way. And coming to the terminals P and T1, so between P and T1, so applying KVL, you could see that it should block voltage with this polarity and value would be same as V in. Okay. So between pole and throw 1, so you require a unipolar unidirectional switch that should carry current in the direction as shown in the figure 1, and that should block voltage as shown in the figure 2. Similarly, between pole and T1, again you should have a unidirectional unipolar switch. So direction of current must be only one direction. Okay, and that should carry current in only one direction as shown in figure 2, this between pole and T2, and it should block the voltage as shown in the figure 1. So how can we achieve this? Okay, how can we realize this kind of switch combination so as to realize this SPDT? Okay, so now we know, so in order to control the output voltage, you must control the operation of this pole and T1, right? So the connection of P and T1 has to be controlled. So between pole and T1, the connection, you have to control the on and off. And here, so between P and T2, so once you open this, once you disconnect throw 1 from pole, automatically you should connect it to T2. Pole has to connect it to T2. Okay. So this so between P and T1 you require a control switch. So preferably fully controlled switch would give some benefits over the semi-control switches. So better use transistors which are fully controlled switches. Of course you can use SCR also. Okay, SCR also control switch, but it is semi-control switch. Okay, So better use BJT or IGBT or MOSFET based on the application. For example, you want to go for low power and high frequency applications, maybe MOSFET can be used. Similarly, if you want to go for high power and low frequency applications, maybe BJT is suitable. And if you go for medium power applications, IGBT can be used. Okay, so usually MOSFETs or IGBTs are more common. Okay, more common. So of course you can use BJT also based on the requirement. So rarely nowadays anyway. So olden days usually SCRs also or thyristors also used, but nowadays they are replaced by the transistors, because thyristors we have disadvantage. They are semi-control switches. In order to turn on, you have to design a separate computation circuit. Okay, but coming to PNT2, between PNT2 you need to have a uncontrolled switch. No need to worry. So once you disconnect this, so it is going to connect automatically. You should have a, so if possible you can go for uncontrolled switch also, maybe diode, but the diode should carry current in this direction and they should block voltage with this polarity. Okay, with this polarity. So this is the buck converter circuit diagram. I have considered transistor A is a control switch and diode with this so with this connection, that is cathode connected to the switch and anode connected to the negative terminal of load voltage as well as the battery. Okay, now this is uncontrolled switch. So you can see that this can block voltage with this polarity and can allow current in this direction, that is same as the inductor current direction. Similarly, this diode can block voltage with this polarity and can also allow current in this direction so as to support the inductor current direction. Okay, so this is the power circuit diagram for buck converter. Okay, so role of each components are explained very well, right? So this is to this Q, this transistor is to control the output voltage of this buck converter. So this diode is to provide the continuous path for the current through inductor. So inductor is to reduce the ripple in the current and also provide space for the voltage ripple, and capacitor is to reduce the ripple in the output voltage and also to provide the path for the ripple current, right? So now this Q, so Q can be replaced by MOSFET or IGBT also. In this figure we have used BJT for simplicity. Simplicity of drawing the circuit, I have taken BJT, but you can use MOSFET or IGBT also. Okay, and SCR also can be used, but SCR along with computation circuit has to be used. So this is usually nowadays. This is so this is usage of SCR is by day by day. So it is reducing. So the SCRs are replaced by IGBTs or MOSFETs nowadays. Okay. Now one more important thing that you need to remember is that buck converter is also referred to as voltage buck converter or current boost converter. So we can see as I explained in the very first slide of this lecture. So output voltage would be less than the input voltage. So it is also known as voltage buck converter. Okay. And in order to maintain the power balance, so output power must be same as input power, assuming all the elements are ideal. So in that case, definitely the output current must be more than the input current. Then only the power balance can be maintained. So in that case, so it is also known as the current boost converter, because output current is more than the input current. It is also known as current boost converter. Okay. Okay. So this is the power circuit. This is about the power circuit of the buck converter. In next class, we shall see the operation of buck converter in continuous current mode. Okay. Thank you.